Hey, my name's Abby Turner and I'm going to talk to you about the legend of King Arthur. So basically the story of King Arthur was that he was born out of deceit and adultery, though he grew to become the one true king of Britain. He was known for the Knights of the Round Table and uniting the people of his land. He was raised away from his parents by someone named Merlin, though upon his father's death their knights didn't really know who to follow anymore. So Merlin tells them that whoever could pull the sword out of this big rock would then become king. Needless to say, King Arthur was the one to pull the sword out of the rock, and then they follow him. King Arthur marries, though Merlin tried to warn him not to because the woman he married was in love with Sir Lancelot. So they married anyway, and he found out about their affair, and the couple, so Sir Lancelot and King Arthur's wife, ran away to France, and King Arthur followed them, though while he was away, King Arthur's nephew took power, and so when he came back, there was huge fights and battles, and everyone got injured or either killed or injured, and King Arthur was really injured. So he took the sword, so the sword that he got out of the rock, so Excalibur, and threw it back into the lake. He then was said to get on a boat for the magical land of Avalon, where he hoped he could be cured of his wings so he could return to his country and rule again. Hence why he is called the once and the future king. So there's many different stories of this through the years, obviously different stories, but that's the basic one and it still really remains the same. Though originally it was thought that Arthurian legend was made by a few poets and romancers of the Middle Ages, though general theory now is that it comes from stories from Celtic mythology. Though another theory is that Arthur was a professional soldier serving in Britain for the kings, and he fought on Roman lines. So because he was fighting all these wars, he then was able to meet Saxon threat. So this was put forward by R.J. Collingwood in Roman Britain and English Settlements of 1936. So it's not certain how or where these theories really come from, whether King Arthur was based on a real person or not. So from medieval stories, the earliest apparent mention of Arthur was in a Welsh poem where he was mentioned briefly as a warrior. So it also then appears in Nennius as a Celtic warrior again. And he was in 12 battles against the Saxon invaders. So, it can be seen there as well. So like I said, it's easy to see that there are many theories to the whole King Arthur legend. Though a strong theory is that King Arthur is based on a real person. Not necessarily him, though someone else had just given him this name. So because Arthur was said to have lived over 100 years, it's been really easy to rule out certain people because not everyone lives for 100 years. But there is one man, and his name's Riothamus, and he seemed to occupied about the same time as what King Arthur did. Riothamus, the king of the Britons, was sent by Leo in 467. He was liberated by the Britons and therefore became a legend. So stories began to spread far and wide, though they began to, they were blown out of proportion, hence why he has such a long lifespan. The connection is that even though the connection between them is a bit of a stretch, because he was said to have lived for so long, that's why it makes more sense for it to be him, not someone else, because, or even two people, because that's another theory that it could have been two people. So, but because there's all these stories of him, it's more likely to have been Theohamus than it was to be any other one or two people. So no king has seen any everlasting fame the same as King Arthur has. And he seems to represent the golden age of chivalry. He was a warrior, a knight, and a king who killed giants and witches and monsters, and was really well known for like I said, the Knights of the Round Table, who really became just as famous as what he was. Though the truth of King Arthur is not known, he's by far made a huge impact on this world, and is still celebrated today, as his story is painted all over the walls of the British Parliament. So yeah, even though no one knows, he's still talked about so often. Though I think the fact that no one does know makes him more talked about, because it is a big mystery. I think it's not really very possible that it could have been someone else. I think it's more likely, with the same sort of thing as Theohamus, he's did great things, but because the stories were told so often and they, like I said, they got completely blown out of proportion, I feel that that's what has happened to King Arthur, because everyone talks about him and how great he was and what he did. His story has been blown out of proportion, what he's done has been blown out of proportion. So his life seems longer, the things that he did seem greater, and there's a huge big mystery to it because no one really knows. So yeah, thank you.